Hello, this is Dr. Brian McDonough with Coronavirus Today for Saturday, March 5th, 2022, episode 225 of A Doctor in the Pandemic video series. Clearly, we are starting to turn the corner in the battle against COVID. If we look at numbers, they're still devastating when you go back to the beginning. Right now in the United States, we've had 958,144 deaths. In the world, we're approaching 6 million, 5,991,633 deaths. Here in the United States, as far as vaccination, 65.8% of our country is fully vaccinated. That means they've had 2 doses of the vaccine. This past week, I will look to March 4th. Yesterday, there were 1,883 deaths in the United States. Remember, a lot of this follows the peaks of the virus in the country. However, if you look at that 1,883 deaths, you compare it against the worst day of the pandemic in the United States, that was January 20th, 2021, when there were 4,442 deaths. Clearly, the vaccines are having their impact, and we're starting to see some of the protection that it can build. There was a disturbing event about a week or two ago, and I don't get involved with politics, but I was disturbed for a major reason. You probably saw the video where the governor of Florida chastised some young people for wearing masks, saying it was, I think, ridiculous or theater or political theater, I think. Well, first of all, political theater occurs with politicians. Your average person, frankly, doesn't worry about politics, nor do they care about political theater. They're doing something they think will help themselves or help protect others. That's the bottom line. So I think when a politician says something is theater, it can have a devastating impact because what it does is it actually mocks or belittles someone for taking care of themselves or others. And I don't think as we move through this pandemic, that should be the goal of anyone. What we need to do is to watch out for each other. If people are comfortable wearing masks, or if they're around a child 5 and under, or if they're around someone who is immune compromised, they have every right to do what they think is right to protect others. To be chastised, that's wrong, and that's inappropriate. And certainly our political leaders need to know and recognize that because they are viewed. And again, I'm picking on one incident because it got a great deal of attention, but we have seen this on both sides throughout the pandemic. This is not political. This is a pandemic which hopefully will become endemic and hopefully will go away. But we've got to work on this together. We can't let our political views, if we have them, get in the way of trying to provide treatment. The other thing I want to address today, which I think is really important, is we're learning more about why people lose the sense of smell. Even if they get over COVID with very few symptoms, they often say they can't smell for weeks, months. Some, in fact 5%, don't get the sense of smell back. The cells that determine how we smell and perceive odors, pleasant and ugly odors, are called olfactory cells. So a lot of work was done looking at the olfactory cells. There is a chance that there is damage to these olfactory cells, but what researchers at Harvard have found is that there are cells that support these olfactory cells called sustentacular cells. And these cells appear to be the cells that are damaged. So what they're doing is they're looking at that. They're looking how they can support the sustentacular cells. Now, fortunately, in 95% of cases, people do get better. What about the other 5%? Well, hopefully with time that will get better. But there is, believe it or not, therapy which can help you regain your sense of smell. And that's done by actually exposing people to little, more or less little trinkets or cubes or strips or whatever that have certain smells. And people actually are asked to smell these smells and think about, visualize what they're smelling. So it might say flower. You think about the smell of flowers. And you can actually start to train your sense of smell and improve. It's physical therapy for the olfactory nerves. Once again, we are getting through this. Obviously, we'll be watching especially what's happening in Europe, in the Far East. We'll see if there are trends. But the big thing is, do what you think is best for you and your family. And if you are around those who are not vaccinated, if you're around those who have situations, illnesses, whatever, that make them more at risk, think about them as you make your decisions.